There's been some allegations, of corruption against you by some northern, youth association. Can you address those allegations? That's number one. Number two, can you tell us how seats are being arranged, in the Senate and what transpired, your take on that? That's number two. And really, I'd like to know, you and Akpabio today, you and Akpabio another time. What is really the matter between you and Akpabio? Because I hear that both families are friends. So I'd like to really know what is going on. Why always you and Senate President Akpabio? Those three questions.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Professor Killer. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And also thank you for awarding me as the Senator of the Year. It's quite unfortunate that after such a long break from me being in studio, this scenario had to bring me in here. Going straight to your first question, which is the allegations, the petition against me on by a certain northern group, which has to do with the conduct of my office as the chair of the local content committee. I would first say that the allegations are baseless, but in as they are hampering on my integrity, I am glad to throw some light on it. The first allegation there was on the misappropriation of the funds in the account and withholding the imprest, as it said. I would like to say this, that when I resumed as chair, I have the bank statement here. It's an account under the name Senate Committee on Local Content, and the account is with Sterling Bank, and the account number is 00662082209. And when I resumed as chair of the committee, the account balance was zero. And then gradually, at the time I handed over to the next chairman, the account had 13,649,335 naira and 4 kobo. And I will say this, the first of the committee, whose name is well listed there, probably the lady who is behind this petition, Mrs. Edith Aja, she approached me in January and said, oh, the first month's payment has gotten in. And I was like, what do you mean by that? She told me that every month, every committee in the National Assembly receives 950,000 naira as running or operational costs. And so that I said, okay, what is the money supposed to be used for? She said, it's for logistics, mail dispatches, whenever refreshments for meetings that we have, and all that. I said, okay, so if 950,000 naira has hit the account, we are yet to call for any meeting, so I think leave that money there, or is there a problem? She said, yes, the trend or the norm is that if there is no event or happenstance that utilizes the money, we are supposed to share the money. I said, how do you mean? She said, the money is usually shared. I, as a chairperson, I will take a part of it. I'll give some to my deputy, and the rest of the money will be shared amongst the staff of the local content committee. And I was like, did you say that is what happens? She said, yes, that is what my predecessor did, and that is what happens in all the committees in the National Assembly. I said, well, you know what? That money, if it's meant to service the operations of the committee, it's not meant to enrich my pockets. It's not meant to enrich the pockets of the staff. I would not want to collect this so-called imprest. So I would advise that you keep that money in the account and we build the money, we use it for whatever it's needed. If we have to buy office equipment, print stationaries, then we use that money. And I promise this, and the bank statement is here. Anyone who has access to it, I have called the account number. You can check. We have gradually built the account. We use there was a time I approved the money last year for the purchase of a printer because it made no sense that we kept on spending so much money printing outside. I was like, you know what, let us have a printer in-house. We bought a printer. We also have printed lots of materials, but basically the money, I never took a kobo out of that in the name of imprest. I never gave my deputy then, who is Senator Ede Dafinone, any interest. He can verify and attest to that. Neither did I allow any of the staff to take any money, because that is taxpayers' money, and the money was meant to service the office. Now, the second allegation there is that, oh, but by the way, it would impress you to know that ever since I left office, the money has been withdrawn by the clerk. About 5 million was withdrawn. And 2 days after my removal again, 4.9 million was withdrawn. So as at today, the bank, that account that had 13 million has only 123,000. Now, the second allegation there is that I harassed the clerk, and I called for the CVs of the staff. Now, this is it. I believe in, I believe that the committee was set to oversee the operations of all the IOCs and the national industry players, and to also strengthen in-country capacity with regards to the oil and gas sector. So such a committee needs the services of lawyers and auditors, because we have to look at a whole lot of accounts and how monies are being spent, monies that are due to strengthen the educational and training sectors, how they are being spent. So one thing, again, the clerk told me was that we needed to deploy the services of an external consultant. And I told her, I was like, why do we have to deploy the services of an external consultant when we have in-house staff? The Committee on Local Content had about 10 or 11 staff at the time. And I was like, we should be able to do this job ourselves. Right. I am a lawyer. I can do my own part wherever one needs to refer to the Constitution or to the Act as it may. And I believe we should have supporting lawyers, we should have auditors, we should have accountants amongst the staff. So I asked her for the CVs so that I could look, and then amongst them, I can write to the clerk of the Senate and say, you know what, can you swap this person, because I want to have an effective team to operate. So if that is what they say, harassment, then so be it. And as for the rest, they mentioned I harassed NLNG. Excuse me, please.
Natasha,
I harassed NLNG.
Natasha, for the
these companies will write and act and defend.
For the want of time, the second question I ask is, then what transpired on the Senate floor?
Second question,
and why is there always a tiff between you and the Senate President? So those are the two. You can put both together.
Of course.
Why is there always a fight between you and the Senate President?
Of course. That was on the sitting arrangements. I think it was a Thursday, last Thursday. I walked to the chambers early before sitting. I signed the book. Yeah, please, can I have some water, please? I travel. Where is it? Oh.
Okay. We'll just wait to...
I flew all night, so I'm kind of drained. Okay, so...
Yes, you were saying, yeah.
The sitting arrangements. I walked into the chambers that morning. I signed my attendance sheet, and I was walking straight to my usual seat, which is the last seat by the door, like at the topmost last seat by the aisle. So, and then I was told by one of the sergeant at arms that, oh, ma'am, that is no longer your seat. You are now sitting at the far end there. And I was like, since when? They said, well, that's what the Senate President instructed. I was like, I was in chambers yesterday, which was Wednesday. I've not been notified. Why did you change my seat? What reason? I'm comfortable here. I'm okay here. I wasn't notified to that. So I was upset. And then I said I refused to move to the new seat. I don't even know what the new seat is. I don't even know the number. I don't know. But they told me it was the last seat, appointed the last seat at the far end. So then the procession came. The president walked in to the seat, and then the rest was shown online. I was already told, by the way, that I should gently move. Some senators messaged me that I should please adhere to the change and move to my seat, because that was a trap, a setup. And I was like, I was trying to understand what trap, what setup. At that point, the minority leader, Senator Abamoro, walked up to me, and he told me, Natasha, please just obey, just go to that seat. And I'm like, no, sir, you are my leader. You should speak for me. I am not aware that my seat has been changed. And I believe I should be given a chance. Maybe they should explain to me why my seat was changed. Maybe I can also explain why, if they could maybe consider leaving me here, that I'm not moving. He said, he pleaded with me that I should please move to the other seat and not explain that we could address it later. And I said, sir, I have hit these chambers, I have complained, and you have witnessed several of my privileges, me being maligned several times, and you never stood up for me. So no, I am not moving there because I do not trust that if I move, this matter will be addressed. So I am going to raise it on the floor. That was what I told my leader, who is the leader of the minority, Senator Abamoro. And then he walked. So after that,
all right,
I was about to be, then the minority whip now read the rules that I have broken the Senate rule by not adhering to my seat change.
Allocation,
and that was when, at the time the Senate President was about to read my seat allocation. At the time the Senate President was about to read, because the next thing he was going to do was to read my suspension because I failed to adhere to that.
All
but
right,
he had already
Senator
made some
Natasha.
statements that, Senator, the whip was, hold on. The whip
Yes,
of the,
it's just that we had to manage.
already had mentioned
Senator
that
Natasha. Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry, but we had to manage our time, and part of the questions.
Okay, so you might. So at that point, I knew I had to read Order 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to read Order 10. Now, what is Order 10? Many people don't understand. So now, Order 10 is is an SOS for every senator who feels their rights and privileges have been breached. So and permit me to quickly read what Order 10 here means. Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice a motion declaring that a contempt or breach of privilege had been committed. Now here it is. It does not say I cannot read that order in that place. That whenever a senator feels that their rights have been trifled upon, I have the right, even if I'm laying on the floor, wherever a senator is in that place. This order book does not say Order 10 should be read from a particular seat.
Okay, Senator Natasha, let me come in here.
I have no right to speak
please.
From that
Senator
seat,
Natasha.
that I should speak from my new seat.
Yes.
The Senate President aired, hold on please, this is a very important point.
Okay.
The Senate President himself made a mistake by not allowing me to speak on that Order 10, because it says here, and let me mention number 11. When a matter of privilege
Senator Natasha, I'm going to have to come in here. Senator Natasha, I am going to have to come in here. Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
You have more time to explain, but we really...
Okay, so El-Rufai shouting that nuts are the real kingmakers. Let us quickly go into history and see how Obasanjo won the 2003 election. Yeah, as you can see on my screen, as you can see that from what we have here, all the way from the Middlebelt down to the south, southeast and southwest, Obasanjo was able to get 24 million, while Buhari scored 12.49, approximately 12.49 million. And what does that mean? This simply means that a person like Peter Obi, who in the last election did not not really bad, can win an election in Nigeria without the El-Rufais, without the Buharists, as it were. If you take a look at that map again, you will see that all the way from Plateau to your left, Kebbi, to your right, Bauchi, down to Taraba, down to the Kogi, Ilorin, Nasarawa, then to southwest, you can see that a candidate can always come from any of that region without the so-called Fulanis, issuing words of threat that no person, no man, no individual can become a Nigerian president if they do not endorse or vote for him massively. If El-Rufai comes out and be specific that they made Tinubu the president, I don't think anybody will agree. But it is insulting for El-Rufai to sit on an high horse and thinking he's dishing out orders and threats that nobody can become a president if the Norths do not vote for him. Now, for El-Rufai's information, and this information even goes beyond El-Rufai. This goes to all the Fulani caliphates, all the Fulani oligarchs, all the Fulani political juggernauts who think